The Tribe of Cannibals. A story by Eby's Heart. My mother is celebrating her chieftaincy title in our village next weekend. Rice and stew very plenty. The message Tomiwa received read. The message was sent to her class WhatsApp group. The message was from another classmate. She was inviting them to her village. Are you going? Tomiwa asked her two closest friends, Mary and Andy. I cannot go. My parents warned me about leaving the campus to anywhere, Mary replied and faced her book. The other time we went to Tejiri's mother's burial, we came home with a lot of goodies, even money was gifted to students that attended, so this one will even be better since it is a celebration, Tomiwa said happily. Andy quickly jumped up and said, When are we going? Tomiwa looked at the invitation again and said, On Friday, check the WhatsApp group and see for yourself. A bus will be at the school gate to take anyone that will go to the venue, Tomiwa said joyfully. Mary, upon hearing that about 4 of their classmates will be going, changed her mind. Did you say there will be a bus? Mary asked Tomiwa immediately. Andy left them to go and prepare. Yes, and enough food too, Tomiwa said joyfully. 2 days later, around 7 a.m., about 10 students were lined up, entering the small 14-seaters bus happily. The rest of the students that came late were very angry that the bus was not enough. Mary, Tomiwa, and Andy were among the first 10 persons to get there. There are 3 seats left. They would have allowed those 2 girls crying to join us, Tomiwa asked the driver. But the driver turned and looked at her with this dead scary look. Tomiwa looked away immediately and minded her business. The bus drove for almost an hour in silence. Everyone in the bus was hoping for a stop and an announcement that they have arrived at their location. After almost 3 hours later, the bus diverted into the bush. Why are we leaving the express? One of the students asked, looking scared. The driver still didn't answer them. The student picked her phone and dialed the number of the student that invited them. Where are you? I thought you are supposed to be in the bus with us. The driver is not talking to us at all and he just left the express. The girl, who was in a very noisy environment with loud music playing in the background, shouted, Oh, I would have been there, but I am with my family in the village organizing things. You people should keep coming. I will come and meet you when the bus is closer. By the time they have been driven far into the bush for close to 8 hours, Tomiwa and her friends started getting worried. Why are we not there yet? What if we get there when they must have finished the celebration? They all started calling the girl again, but this time, her line was switched off and they also noticed that numbers were no longer connecting. They were out of network coverage. The bus suddenly stopped when it was sunset. 2 scary-looking men who were half naked and wearing masks came in and the bus started moving again. Mary started crying and saying they should drop her in the middle of the forest. I don't want to go again, she cried. But the driver didn't stop nor answer her. All the students started shouting on top of their voices and attempting to jump out of the window. But the driver and the 2 men that joined them refused to act. They all started sending messages to their families and videoing themselves, even though there was not network and it was not going through. They believed the messages will deliver when their phones receive network signal. Then they started hearing music and sound of celebration at a distance. I think we are near the place, Andy said, sounding hopeful. Then the bus stopped and they opened the door for them. The students all got down and tried to go the place the music was coming from, but they were blocked by the men on mask. Drop your phones here, the men said, stretching sack bags towards them. They were still in shock when they heard the voice of a girl saying, They are mine, I worked hard for 4 months to get them, you must tell mother. They all turned to look at her. That was when they all realized something. They don't really know her. She just started coming to lectures 2 months ago from nowhere. Wait, she is the one that invited us? The students asked themselves all at once. The students, upon realizing that they were in danger, entered the bush and started running and shouting for help. Leave them, they have nowhere to go, the girl told the men. The girl and the men all went back to the venue where the singing and dancing were happenings. Tomiwa, Mary, and Andy, who were the closest friends amongst them, were running together while the rest were scattered all over the forest. They heard the other students screaming for help and shouting that they have fallen inside a pit dug on the ground as a trap. The students did not know that the whole forest was filled with pits in case if they ran. When Tomiwa heard their cry, she started crying and said, "I think we should stop running in this bush and hide, we may fall into a pit like the others." The three of them hid at one place in fear, praying to survive until morning. They shared a few snacks left in Mary's bag. "I don't know why I let you convince me," Mary said, sobbing. "Assuming I knew it was that weird new girl that sent this invitation to our group WhatsApp, I would have refused to come," Andy said, crying too. "She just appeared from nowhere in this our second year, saying that they recently relocated to the city." "Who relocates and changes school?" Tomiwa chipped in while joining them in crying. "My mother will find out I am in trouble, she always do," Mary said hopefully. "Are we even still in the country? Where is this place?" Andy said, standing up. Immediately he stood up. He saw two women who are dressed in sackcloths like the olden days women, standing inside the bush, gossiping. "I saw two women behind us. Maybe they can help," Andy said in a whisper. Tomiwa's face lit up. She suggested that one person should go and talk to them first. Andy volunteered to go first. "Good evening, Ma. I am missing my way. Could you please direct me to the main road? The bus I was traveling in had an accident and I found myself inside this bush, lost," Andy said, sounding very genuine. The women quickly brought out torchlight from their cloth and flashed it directly on Andy's face. One of the women took pity on him and said, "The road is too far from here and you cannot reach there on foot even in 2 days' time. Come and spend the night in my home with my children. First thing tomorrow morning, my daughter will take you to the motor park, so that you can continue your journey from there." Andy happily whistled, beckoning on his friends to join them. Tomiwa and Mary came out of hiding while Andy pointed at them and said, "These are my sisters, we were all on the same bus." The woman that promised to take them home bid the other woman good night and left with them immediately, saying, "There are bad people in this forest that hunts for foreigners like you people, so hurry up, let's go and hide in my house." They hurriedly followed her happily. When they got to the woman's house, her two children, a boy and girl of the same age with Tomiwa and her friends, came out to greet them happily. They served them a sumptuous meal and they all enjoyed it while telling stories. Mary noticed that the woman's children were very fluent in English and felt it was odd. They said they have never left this village or went to school, how can they speak so well? This thought made her to stylishly reject the food and drinks they were offered. She pretended to be having stomach upset and laid down sleeping. So while Andy and Tomiwa were eating, Mary was sleeping on the old tattered couch in the woman's parlor. After a few hours, everyone slept off. Mary tiptoed inside the woman's kitchen and ate some food she saw in the pot, because she was very hungry. "Keep an extra eye on that one, I think she knows," the woman told her son. Mary took the woman's kitchen knife and hid beside her. She was not buying the woman's kindness, and there was no time to warn her friend. And just like she had assumed, first thing in the morning, she overheard the woman telling some men that, "I caught 3 of them last night, they are right inside my room sleeping. Tell mother I will be rewarded for a great hunt." Mary started crying while trying to wake up her friends who were obviously drugged to sleep. She wanted to tell them that they were in danger. "We will tell mother what you have done. Where are they?" "We need to take them now," the men said impatiently. Meanwhile, immediately Mary heard what the woman said, she started pushing her friends to wake up, but they were in a very deep sleep caused by the herbs the woman mixed in the food they were served. When Mary noticed that she couldn't wake them up, she used the knife she had taken from the woman's kitchen to tear off the woman's window net and run away. So when the woman opened the door, she was shocked to see only 2 persons, Andy and Tomiwa. "She is gone, find her now, I told you to keep an eye on her," the woman was shouting at her son. The men took sleeping Andy and Tomiwa away. The woman's son and the woman started running into the bush again, shouting Mary's name. Mary continued running until she got to a house where there were so many girls her age, dressing up and making up their faces. She walked into the house just like the others and quickly took one of the cloths she had seen one of the girls wearing and wore it. Mary, out of fear, hid under the bed in the room the girls were changing. Because everywhere was rowdy, no one saw nor noticed her. They all felt everyone there were part of them. Within a few minutes, the woman ran inside the house shouting her name. All the girls were surprised. They all swore not to have seen or noticed anyone with such description. It was only a girl who had seen when Mary was coming that told them she saw someone like that, but she ran past the house and headed towards the market. The girl actually saw Mary, but she wasn't sure where she had entered. Mary had seen her wearing that uniform and stole one from the bag that was dumped on a huge table where all the girls were taking clothes from. The woman and her son, who were already restless, ran towards their market. Everywhere, including the market, was filled with people preparing for their annual celebration. It was while Mary was under the bed that she discovered that all the girls inside that house were students of various universities. They go to different schools, and from their own school, they recruit students who are hungry for adventures, free food, and gifts to come for one party or the order. Do you know what my family will get because my sister brought 12 students from a particular school? One of the girls said boastfully. I don't know how she pulled it off, but she tried. Me that brought only one girl last year was nearly caught, another girl said, and they all laughed. My family will get the best part for her hard work. The first girl continued talking and giggling loudly. Last 3 years my family got about 7 brains and 5 hearts. You know, mother said the brain and hearts are for VIPs, so we got it because my brother brought 10 random people with some cheap jazz that he bought in the market, another girl added. My family brought nothing, and we have even lost of the ones we found inside the bush at night. I wonder what we will get, the daughter of the woman who was looking for Mary said angrily. So every year, different families of cannibals who were wealthy and connected travel several miles to this isolated settlement in the bush and slaughter 24 persons, share their meat amongst themselves for long life and good health. They believe some parts of the body give more nutrients than the others. So the family that brought more persons will take the brain, the heart, and the eyes, and they will do anything to protect this secret. Mary, after hearing this, tore off the wig she was carrying on her head, loosened her hair to look like the girls. Because the girls were all on their natural hair wrapped with green leaves. Immediately the girls queued up to leave, Mary sneaked out of hiding. She quickly started marking up her face and joined them on the queue. Then they got to a spot and stopped. Time to confirm your identities, a man shouted. Mary looked ahead and saw a large python raising its head. If you cross and the python recognizes you as one of us, then you are safe. If not, the python knows what to do. Mary felt dizzy in her head and almost passed out due to fear. Meanwhile, Andy and Tomiwa woke up inside a very smelly place. They were butchering them and piling the meat on fire to roast. They were tied up and taken one after the other to the slaughter. Tomiwa looked around and noticed they were all young people. She started singing in a loud voice, making the men killing them uncomfortable. One of the men came to her and said, in your next life, stick to the rules your parents gave you. Don't go to any party or events outside your school curriculum. Don't trust people easily. Do these things in your next life and you may not end up in our tummy. All the men laughed so hard at Tomiwa. Just then something woke up inside Andy, a certain anger and desperation of a dying man. Why should we keep quiet and allow these people to kill us? How will that benefit me? He had thought. Andy started struggling even with his hands tied. He was struggling while they watched and laughed. Then suddenly, he freed his hands and grabbed the sharp knife on their table. He slashed the throat of one of them and all of them rushed at once to kill him. He started throwing his knife around anyhow and cutting 1 or 2 of the men. That was when all their captives felt they could fight. They all started shouting and charging at the men with all their strength, even with their hands tied. Andy then ran out with that opportunity, but he felt a strong blow on his face and fell down. While his eyes were closing, he saw a very tall woman. The woman was carrying python on her head. He also saw all the men bowing down on her feet, saying, "Mother, we are sorry." They were apologizing for losing one of the men. Mother then rushed inside the place and blew something in the air from her mouth and everyone fell down. That was how Andy, the rest of their friends and the other victims died. Due to the chaos caused by Andy, they were not able to count immediately and be sure that the number the victims they had killed were complete. This bought more time for Mary. They eventually gathered all of them and prepared the feast. On the festive arena, Mary's turn was approaching and she silently praying in her heart for a miracle to happen. She wanted to know what will happen, but didn't have the guts to ask questions. They will know I am not one of them if I should ask what the python will do, she thought. It was 2 people before her turn when she heard, "Stop, they are not complete. It is remaining 1 person. We were not able to count them earlier before preparing their meat, but we have done that now. Whoever you are, just know that you cannot hide, we must fish you out," Mother roared angrily. Then all eyes were now on the girls being screened in front of the python. Mary thought of what to do and started shedding tears. She thought of how her mother will take the news of her death and couldn't hold her tears. The girl before her noticed that she was crying and became surprised. Why is she crying? She asked herself. Before the girl in front of Mary could go before the python, in order to be screened, Mary fell on the ground and started pretending to have seizure. The python looked at her and rushed her immediately. Everyone suddenly gathered around Mary, wondering what was wrong with her. What Mary didn't know was that no one amongst them falls ill. At least that is what they believe. So as Mary was turning on the ground stretching, the python that rushed her before stopped and was watching her. Mary noticed that the people who gathered her were not trying to help, but rather they were trying to be sure she was the outsider. After a while, Mother ordered that Mary be taken to the slaughterhouse while shouting that she is the outsider. Everyone screamed while they watched Mary being dragged away. "You do it alone, she is just a girl," one of the men suggested to the other. "I don't want to miss the sharing of the meat," another man said frowning. "My family suffered last year because we brought no one, but this year we will be the second family to choose, so I cannot escort her to the slaughterhouse." All the men refused to escort Mary, except the youngest amongst them who reluctantly picked Mary up. Mary was still pretending to have seizure. When they got into the place, the man laid her on the table they were using to cut them. Mary was still hiding that knife she got from the first woman that pretended to save them earlier. She brought the knife out and drove it inside the throat of the man that was trying to kill her. The man tried to call for help, but the blood was too. Mary got up and ran off. She was running and falling inside the bush sobbing. Meanwhile, families have started selecting the parts that they felt they needed for long life and good health. That selection made everyone busy and distracted them from their environment. So Mary continued running. By the time they realized that she was able to escape, Mary had gone very far. She followed the normal car track that they had come in from and kept running. "Find her," Mother shouted at the python. About 5 pythons ran off to find Mary. "If we don't find her, then this year's celebration cannot save us. Wait for the sickness that will befall you all." Mother's command made everyone to drop the meats that they were already eating and ran into the bush. They searched everywhere for Mary and she was nowhere to be found. Even the pythons returned without finding her. They became confused. "She can't go far from here, we must find her, if not she will destroy our lives. Most of us are 80 years old, but we are still looking very young and healthy, because of this our annual celebration. So we cannot allow a little girl to expose us." Mother kept announcing and gingering them to find Mary. But Mary was already on a motorcycle far away from them. While she was running, a woman who covered her face well pulled up a bike in front of her and said, "Get in." Mary, without asking questions, got in and they quickly drove out of the forest. The woman drove her very far away and entered into a big house. There Mary saw one of the girls who was on cue in front of the python earlier with her, the one in front of her. Her eyes opened in shock. "We are journalists," the girl said, smiling at her. "We have been trying to expose those people. They call themselves people of culture and claim to be practicing the traditional roots of their forefathers, but they are just cannibals. They have been in existence for years and so many people have died through them. A man escaped before and reported them to the police, by then they were operating in another state. But because they gave the police huge amount of money, the case was swept under the carpet for lack of evidence. The man who lost his son said he found out about them when he was looking for his lost son. Since then, my team and I have been trying so hard to expose them, the woman who was riding the bike said, frowning. After the man's report, no one have been able to survive going into their den. So many journalists have gone undercover too, but they never made it out alive. The chaos you and your friends caused made it easier for my colleague that you saw now to escape. So now we have enough videos and pictures to expose them completely, the woman explained to Mary, who was still standing in fear. Escaping is not enough because they recognized you. So I will suggest you go home for now and don't resume school again. They will hunt you down and kill you because they know you now and you know them too, the woman continued talking to Mary, who have started crying. Mary went to their village and called her parents who were in the city. She told them all that happened. The journalists released the videos and images of the cannibal group. They linked various campus disappearances to the group. A few people were arrested while parents and students protested nationwide over the loss of their children and friends. The government established forest guards to safeguard the forests. But that didn't still stop them. They only changed tactics and called it something else, but they still ate human flesh until date. When you are sent to school to study, stick to your studies and do what you are sent there to do. Every party, burial, birthday is not for you. Not every fun gathering is a party, some are bloodbath.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.